Welcome to RelapsePreventionPlan.net's free online relapse prevention lessons. It's never too late to learn how to prevent relapse. The learning goals for today's presentation are to describe loneliness and the negative emotions that are experienced when lonely, to describe boredom and 3 causes of boredom, and to list 5 actions to take to end boredom or loneliness. The worst loneliness is not to be comfortable with yourself. Mark Twain. Relationships are memories. In our brains, we carry a map of our relationships. Just knowing these relationships are there to hold us if we fail gives us a sense of peace. The opposite is a familiar experience we call loneliness. The emotions that relationships evoke affect our hormonal, chemical, and immune responses, and through these, our health and our resistance to disease. We are connected to our social world through our senses and our memories. Whether we are with others or alone, memories of relationships can trigger emotional responses. Loneliness is not necessarily being alone. You can be alone for long periods without feeling at all lonely. And you can feel lonely in a familiar setting without really understanding why. The best way to begin is to understand loneliness is to examine some of the ways it is experienced. Loneliness is having a feeling of being alone and sad, being isolated and rarely visited by others, lacking companionship or encouragement, having no one or nothing else around. Loneliness is a negative emotional state that must be addressed through positive coping skills, or it can lead to a return to alcohol and drug use. You may feel lonely when you miss past attachments or friends, you face major changes in your life, a new school, town, or job. There is no one with whom to share your personal concerns and experiences, or you believe that you're not acceptable, lovable, or worthwhile. There are some misconceptions about loneliness. People who have completed rehab and are starting a new sober lifestyle are particularly susceptible to loneliness. Misconceptions regarding loneliness make you feel even worse. Here are some misconceptions: that loneliness is a sign of weakness or immaturity, that there's something wrong with me if I'm lonely and I don't have many friends, that I can't make friends if I'm not using, that I'm the only one who feels this way. And loneliness, like all emotional experiences, can be very negative depending on what you tell yourself it means. Difficulties that support feeling lonely. You may believe that loneliness results from a defect in your personality that can be hidden by alcohol or drug use. People who think of loneliness as a defect have difficulty taking social risks, asserting themselves, making phone calls to initiate social contact, introducing themselves, and participating in groups. People who think of loneliness as a defect also have less skill in sharing about themselves, less responsiveness to others, a tendency to approach social encounters with cynicism and mistrust, more likelihood of evaluating themselves and others in negative terms, and a tendency to expect others to reject them. Loneliness means to feel excluded from a group, unloved by those around you, alienated from your surroundings, that you are alone and have no other choice. You find it difficult to make friends and go beyond mere acquaintance. This is painful. Lonely people often feel depressed, angry, afraid, and misunderstood, the negative emotions that precede relapse. Take note of those. They often feel highly critical of themselves, overly sensitive or self-pitying, critical of others, blaming others for their situations, and acutely aware of their own failings and shortcomings when in the company of others, and believe that others are noticing them too. Lonely people do things which perpetuate their loneliness. They get discouraged, lose their sense of desire and motivation to get involved in new situations, isolate themselves from people and activities, become too quickly and deeply involved with other people and activities without evaluating the consequences of their involvement, such as high-risk situations for using again. And they often adopt an anyone is better than no one attitude, and later find themselves in unsatisfying relationships. They depend on their friends to build their self-esteem and to initiate activities. They blame self and other people for poor social relationships. They falsely assume that nobody likes them. They expect everyone to include them in their activities and conversations, and when this doesn't happen, they become more withdrawn, angry, and isolated from other activities. They then become self-conscious and worry unnecessarily about being evaluated by coworkers, friends, and peers. They have difficulty in engaging in assertive behavior, and they're afraid to stand up for their rights and say no to unreasonable requests. They often avoid meeting people and new situations. They have difficulty in introducing themselves, making telephone calls, and participating in group activities. They perceive themselves in a negative way. They become overly critical of their physical appearance. They feel isolated, alone, and unhappy about their situation. And no matter how lonely you get or how many birth announcements you receive, the trick is to not get frightened. There's nothing wrong with being alone. Wendy Wasserstein. So, what should we do about loneliness? Instead of viewing loneliness as a defect or as an unchangeable personality characteristic, recognize that loneliness is something that can be changed. Loneliness is a common experience. We all go through it. And according to a recent national survey, 25% of all adults experience painful loneliness at least every few weeks. Loneliness is neither a permanent state nor bad in itself. It's simply a signal that important needs are going unmet. So you can take positive action. Develop a circle of friends or a special friend. Learn to do things for yourself without friends. Learn to feel better or more content about yourself in general. Relax and concentrate on your life's goals. And do all of the above. To fall in love is easy. Even to remain in it is not difficult. Our human loneliness is cause enough. But it is a hard quest worth making to find a comrade through whose steady presence one becomes steadily the person one desires to be. Anna Louise Strong. Loneliness can be overcome, but it depends on you. Only you can build your own self-esteem and learn to feel good about yourself. If you seek out situations that enable you to get involved and learn and practice general communication skills and assertive skills using the book People Smart. If you're shy, practice saying hello or starting a conversation with a non-using friend or family member. Get involved in discussions. Practice speaking up positively and clearly. So you can work at developing your social skills. Practice communicating and getting to know others and letting them know you. Check if you are judging new people on the basis of your past relationships. Try to see each person you meet from a new perspective. You can regain a positive outlook by getting involved in organizations and activities. You could do some volunteer work or help others, and you will boost your own self-esteem and feel better about yourself. You can check your personal appearance and get a haircut, freshen up your clothes, ensure your personal hygiene is kept up, monitor your posture, and you can develop casual friendships. In doing the things you ordinarily do in the course of your daily schedule, look for simple new ways to spend time with people. Eat lunch or have coffee with others in the cafeteria. Sit with new people at work or in a class. Find a work or exercise partner. You can also develop new activities. Put yourself in new situations where you will meet people, such as art galleries, pet shows, museums, or sports events. You can engage in activities which you have a genuine interest to meet people with whom you have something in common. You can make use of community resources and check out local organizations and activities such as sports clubs, car clubs, book clubs, churches, and political parties. And take the time. Lasting friendships develop gradually as people learn about each other and spend time together. Avoid rushing into intimate friendships, sharing too quickly, or expecting others to leap into an intimate relationship with you. Let the friendships develop naturally. Value all of your friendships rather than believing that only a romantic relationship will relieve your loneliness. And develop yourself. Think of yourself as a total person. Don't neglect other needs just because your companionship or friendship needs are not being met. Make sure you follow good habits of good nutrition, regular exercise, and adequate sleep. Don't let old hobbies and other interests slide. You can develop new hobbies and more interests. And when you're alone, use your time positively. Get caught up on cleaning, reading, improvements to your home, room, car. Use your alone time to get to know yourself. Treat your time alone as a valuable opportunity to develop independence and to learn to take care of your own emotional needs. Avoid merely vegetating. Deal with your situation actively. Use your alone time to enjoy yourself rather than just existing until you can be with others. Find creative and enjoyable ways to use your alone time, such as write poetry or short stories about your loneliness. Keep things in your environment, such as books, puzzles, or music that you can use to enjoy in your alone time. And always have at least one new skill under development, such as playing guitar or learning a new language. You could explore the possibility of doing things alone that you usually do with other people, like going to the movies. But don't decide ahead of time how you're going to feel about an activity. Keep an open mind. Let's do a short exercise about things you can do alone. Take 5 minutes, take out a sheet of paper, and pause the presentation while you complete the exercise. Make a list of things you can do alone. You can choose from some of the items that you've seen in the presentation or make up your own. Then make a list of things you can keep in your home to do alone. And then finally share your list with a non-using friend or family member and add ideas from them. Boredom. Boredom is tedium, monotony, dullness, tediousness, world weariness, and it can be mistaken for loneliness. It is the weariness that results from predictability. It's the desire for desire. Boredom does not necessarily mean you are doing nothing. It means you are doing nothing new. The The repetitive use of drugs or alcohol results in boredom and loneliness. Boredom results in excitement-seeking behavior, which may include relapse to drugs and alcohol. So boredom puts you at risk. The cure for boredom is curiosity, and there is no cure for curiosity. Ellen Parr. The cure for boredom is much the same as the cure for loneliness. Find new activities that can be done alone or with others. Take the risk of meeting new people in a different type of setting than you are used to. Take an interest in other people's needs or welfare. Give of yourself. Check for negative attitudes and negative thinking. Develop new skills and new interests. You'll need to get moving before the boredom or loneliness will lift. If you take action, loneliness and boredom will pass. No matter how badly you feel, loneliness and boredom will lessen or disappear when you focus attention and energy on exercising outdoors and indoors, using relaxation skills, learning new skills, gaining new knowledge, and excelling at work or school, and your life goals. So take action. Don't let yourself just sit and wait for better times. Don't wait for your feelings to get you going. Get going on your life goals, and good feelings will catch up with you. Here's a listing of the presentation that we used to research the information in this presentation. You can pause the presentation if you'd like to take a moment and write down some of the information. By the end of this presentation, you should be able to describe loneliness and the negative emotions that are experienced when lonely, describe boredom and 3 causes of boredom, and list 5 actions to take to end boredom or loneliness. If you haven't already, please visit relapsepreventionplan.net and download our free book, Make Your Last Relapse the Last. Remember, this video is not a substitute for proper medical care and consultation with your physician or qualified healthcare professional. Don't ignore professional advice or delay seeking treatment based on the information in this video or on this YouTube channel. Thank you for joining us. You can do it. We believe in you. Don't give up.